We don't normally do this, but I just wanted to say welcome to November. And while many of you won't love November the way I do, because, well, quite frankly, based on where you live in the world, according to the stats, you don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my favorite time of the year. It's my favorite holiday because I get to spend time with my loved ones and the people I care about the most. And even if you can't celebrate it, or even if you don't celebrate it, you can celebrate Movember. Movember stands for tackling prostate cancer, testicular cancer, men's mental health, and suicide prevention. And we all have a male in our lives or a man in our lives that we love and want to be around for even longer. So do what you can to help raise awareness and support Movember. The Ugly Inside has done this for the past couple of years. You can actually help them support it by going to mobro.co/theuglyInside. The link is in the show notes. And by the way, I am growing a mustache for Movember. I am going to ruin my family pictures. So hopefully you don't have to. All right. So head over to mobro.co/theuglyInside and help support. All right. Now let's get to the show. You're listening to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans.
If you want to have guarantees, you have to buy a wash machine.
Monte with a scooping header.
We don't lose a match, either we win or we learn. And today we learned.
It's infield to Mane, 25 yards out. Lovely ball for Pella. Onside, 1-0. Boufal shot. Oh my word!
Unbelievable. He ran around the pitch like Bambi on ice. It would be very, very embarrassing to watch.
And now your host, Matt Markstone. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast and newsletter dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans, and available right here on southamptondelivery.com. My name is Matt Markstone. I am the host of the show, and no matter where you are, no matter how you may be listening, whether this is your first time or you've been here before, thanks for making the show part of your day. I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you enjoy it more than any of us, I think, enjoyed Saints' most recent performance against Everton in a match where we needed to pick up points, we needed to establish ourselves, we needed to show that something was different, that there was some change happening in the squad. We didn't. We saw largely a lackluster performance. We saw players out of position. We saw substitutions that were too late. We saw a game that essentially we could not change, or we failed to change. And at home, once again, this is the fourth consecutive loss, the first time that has happened at St. Mary's. And this turns out just to be a really kind of upsetting time for a lot of us, I think. And the problems that we know that have been around for so long are starting to come together. They're starting to show through. The cracks are becoming wider and wider, and not just the crack between us and the rest of the table, between the relegation zone and the rest of the table, but the cracks within the team, the cracks within the kind of the fan base and within the organizational structure of the entire club. And it really is frustrating, and it's disheartening. And yeah, that's kind of where I am at, and I hope that hopefully you're doing a little bit better. And of course, it is just football. There are things in the world that are much more important than this. Hopefully you and your family are safe and well wherever you are listening. But this week, we will talk with William Porteous. He is on Twitter at pirate_ST. He is a lifelong Southampton fan. We talk a little bit about that. You may have also heard from him earlier this week on the Total Saints podcast, where he's there talking about his film. We do the same here, a little bit longer extended version, kind of because, to be honest, I didn't want to talk about Everton. It was it was kind of hard to face the same thing over and over and not really have answers, because we're looking in from the outside. The things that seem like there should be obvious changes aren't happening, and it is a little bit disheartening. So I will put the exact moment we start talking about Saints in the show notes if you're not interested in the film, although for me, talking about the film was the most kind of enjoyable portion of this. So if you don't know William Porteous, you can get in touch with him, like I said, on Twitter at pirate_ST. If you're interested in the film itself, you can get all the links on the website at somedaysarediamonds.co.uk. The link is in the show notes, as well as a link to the Facebook page, and William Porteous' email is also down there. William, of course, has been around. He's been on The Ugly Inside. He's been on the Saints FC podcast. He's kind of making the rounds now, doing some publicity for the film, which I don't like film, and I enjoyed it. So you should maybe give it a chance. It's definitely better than any 20-minute spell the Saints have put together at home, at least in the last, 3 years. That's tough to say. I think it's true. So anyway, like I said, if you're not interested in the film, that's fine. We will be back to kind of talking about Saints, I'm sure, in a regular sense next week. But anyway, special thanks to William for getting up early. We flipped the script a little bit. Usually I get up super early and talk to a fan or somebody in the UK or somewhere else in the evening time. And instead I stayed up late. He got up early and we made it happen. So I hope that you enjoyed the conversation. Hopefully that is, like I said, you find some value in it. You enjoyed the film. You enjoy the conversation that we have about the team, even though I'm not sure we really uncover anything new, because let's face it, it's kind of the same old stuff. But I do have one thing to say that before we get into the actual conversation. We had a question come in on Instagram from Tan May, and I didn't really get a chance to address it. William's daughter woke up, and that signaled the end of the recording, and that's fine. But he kind of asked, what changes do you think we need to be a competitive side again? I mentioned it all: board, coaches, players. And I've been kicking around the idea for some time of putting together a little video that I chose to release on Monday. But the final push to do that was from Tan May's question. So thank you, Tan May, for doing that. I do appreciate that. We do answer some questions. We don't have time for a lot because, as I said, William's daughter woke up, and that signaled the end of what we were going to do. But anyway, we're going into an international break. So take your time, enjoy the episode. As always, let us know any feedback you have, and make sure to visit somedaysarediamonds.co.uk and check out William's film. All right. Now let's get to the conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Talk to you soon. I'd like to welcome to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, William Porteous. You can find him on Twitter at pirate_ST. You can also find him on Facebook. And we'll talk about what that URL looks like in just a second. But William, welcome to the show. We have flipped normal recording time slots. Usually I'm the one up early in the morning, but you're up early in hopes of getting this in before your daughter wakes up.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely crazy. Getting up at like 5 to 6 in the morning for me is a lie-in. Seriously. So this is fine. I'm bright and breezy.
Have you had
no coffee for me?
Yeah. Have you had coffee?
No. Honestly, like water and a paracetamol. Because I had one too many beers last night. And that for me basically means 3 beers. And so that last one just whoa. That third beer, man, whoa. Just went to my head. I
contemplated getting a beer right now before we started this, but I'm pretty sure if I had half of it, I would start to nod off, and I don't want to do that. I gotta stay present for the podcast. But I definitely, I don't know how old you are, but as I get into people are gonna want to shut up. I'm gonna shut up, but like get into my 30s, like people, it's not good. Like I can't drink more than 1 or 2 without being seriously hungover for no good reason.
Yeah. I've always been like that. I've always been horrendous with alcohol. Like I remember the first hangover I ever had, and I thought like God was opening my head and taking out my brain and putting in a hamster there in its place, which would have been quite interesting had he done that. But
well, it would have better prepared you for what Saints have put you through the last couple of seasons. That's for sure.
Yeah, but this has felt more and more like some sort of strange experiment rather than like a relegation, flirtation. It just feels like a psychological thing. I feel like I'm watching loads and loads of The Sopranos at the moment, and I genuinely feel like we are Tony Soprano, and we're being asked to like look after this ridiculous family, and the more and more you think about it, like why haven't we left? Why haven't some of us just gone, no, this is enough?
Yeah.
Like, this is not normal to like sustain this level of letdown and abuse. So it's like, Yeah, it's very enabling and it's very strange.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before, I don't want to talk about that yet because that's going to be there, but we have other stuff to do. People may recognize your voice. They may recognize your name because you've been around on other podcasts before. You've been on the Saints FC podcast several times. I think by the time this comes out, people will have heard a little bit about it, potentially on the Total Saints podcast, but we do have people who don't listen to either one of those, which always shocks me that people don't listen to all four or however many we have now. We have more podcasts than points, as the joke goes now. But it's, let's talk a little bit just about you, before we get to that. And then you shouldn't bury the lead like this, but you have a new film out that we are going to talk about a little bit because it's cool and it's important. And I think people will enjoy the conversation. So, just for those of people who don't know you, how did you get started just kind of supporting Saints in the first place?
Right. Well, I suppose like anyone, it's against your will. You don't know what's happening, and it just happens to you. It was my dad, and this sounds like a sort of weird confession. Anyway, it was my dad. I went to the Dell, and it was God, no, I think it was 1991, and we went to see Forest at home, and it was just dreadful, boring. I can still remember like some of the cage barriers still being up at the sides and stuff, and it was just one of those 1-1 draws under grey leaden skies where you're just like, how can I sustain this as a human being? And I was like 10 years old. Some reason I managed to sustain it. I think the next one we went to was actually under lights. It was against Wimbledon. Okay. So it was actually, that first time you go into a stadium when it's under lights and it's arresting, and wow, the panoramic view, the fans, the atmosphere. That back then it was the stench of beer as well. It was everything, and the scent of the grass. It hit your senses, in every single way. And that was it. I was like, oh, okay, that's football. And then I can't remember the result. I can barely remember anything. But that was it really. Yeah, totally 100% in. But before that was actually Aldershot Town, which is a team in Hampshire. And that first game, I saw the Aldershot won 6-2, mate. So I kind of should have gone and followed them, really.
Yeah. The first ever professional football match that I watched was 5-3. I saw an indirect free kick given inside the penalty area, inside the 6-yard box, actually. I saw a group of, we'll call them ultras, even though they're pretty cringy, just yelling at the opposition goalkeeper the entire second half. Hey, keeper, we all effed your grandma the entire 45 minutes of the second half. And I got home, and having seen this like 8-goal thriller, gone like, this seems like a great sport. Like, I can't wait to just get, fully behind this. And then, not seeing another goal the next 4 matches I went to. So, it's all right. Like it is what it is, right? It's just, well,
we've got the FA Cup now. So like just the first round started like on Friday night, and it was Dulwich versus Carlisle. I live in Sydenham in southeast London. So that ground I've been to quite a few times, and it was amazing. The football quality, it wasn't, up there. It wasn't anything special, but you learn over the years that's not what you're looking for. And it's something else. It's the fans' passion and the up and at 'em and the David versus Goliath kind of thing. And it's brilliant. Yeah. Is that what drew you into football then?
It was, for me, it was my son. For me, it was the time that I went and saw that football match. That was just a random kind of. We were in a city for work, and it was something to do at night. They gave us discounts on tickets, and we did it, and it was great. But to actually get into it and start learning about it and watching it was my son. He wanted to quit playing baseball and start playing football, and I'm pretty obsessive, and so I'm like, all right, let's go. And it turned into this. I mean, it's been a long time now, and here I am at 10:20 p.m. on a Saturday night, and this is like what I've been looking forward to all day. Not that I don't enjoy watching my kids play, but like they're not as good.
It's cool that you're passionate about it. It's really, really amazing. I listen to so many of your shows. It's like your passion, obsession is is what gets you over the line. You know, it's what gets this show over the line. That's very commendable, my friend.
Thank you. Sometimes it's not there. Like sometimes you'll. I mean, I'm looking at my outline today, going like, you know, these things should have been taken care of, you know, before I was on Skype with you. But it's hard when, you know, I'm rewatching the game and going like, you know, because I was kind of following the second half on my phone because we were at the field for my daughter's stuff. But like, yeah, I'm kind of trying to rewatch, but it's like I already know what happens, or you know, I know the final score, and so I'm just looking for, you know, major places where we mess up so I can talk about it, and that's not fun. Like I'd rather, you know.
Yeah, that's what it's turned into.
Yeah. But I mean, so you didn't really have a choice though getting into it. I did. I don't know what that says. I don't know what's better or worse there. But you live in London, so do you? When the team, like next time we play, they're gonna be at Arsenal. Is that something you'll try to go to if you can?
Well, I've been to the Arsenal game a couple of times now, and it's a funny one because the last time I went was under Hughes, and we got beaten 3-2, and Long got 2. I think it was 1 or 2 goals. I can't remember. And that was actually kind of interesting. I did enjoy it. I mean, no one expected us to get anything there, so that was that. But I don't know if I'll go again. Geez Louise, you know. But then again, we're better away from home, so perhaps I will do. I mean, that is going to be an interesting match because I would have had 2 weeks off, wouldn't we? And the way things are going now, people are talking quite seriously rather, about Ralph's departure, which is completely unthinkable, you know, 6 months ago, hell, a week ago. So, oh God, it's diabolical, really. But I don't know whether I'm leading you down the wrong path talking about Saints like this, and you know, because you're very well programmed. You know, you've got a good schedule. I don't want to screw it up for you.
We'll make the schedule work. Don't worry about it too much. But I want to talk a little bit about your work, because you've been on The Ugly Inside, you've been on the Saints FC podcast, but that's not work, that's fun. You've done a politics podcast in the past, which I went back and listened to a couple episodes of, and as much as I follow British politics, which I don't, as much other than through Twitter, that show seemed pretty intense. Like there was a lot going on for a really long time, and I don't know when did that kind of passion project, or when did that start for you, the idea to start that podcast and choose to go down that route?
I it's really funny. I got really involved with a political party over here called the Liberal Democrats, and obviously most of the people listening to this are going to know them as the Lib Dems, and either laugh at that or go, oh, okay. I don't know. I love podcasting. I always have done so much. As I started listening to podcasts like Mark Maron's podcast, like all of about 10 years ago, and that back then was the only real podcast around. And slowly but surely, I've sort of built my confidence up to go, well, maybe I could do this myself. Well, maybe. And truth is, yeah, you can, and it's easy. Well, depending on what level you want to take it to. And I thought, I really, really want to do politics, and it just made sense. And then I didn't know how the show was even going to run. And I just thought, I'll just get this local guy on that I go canvassing with, and we'll just talk about the Lib Dems. My God, that sounds shockingly dull and pathetic, but it's true. You can't hide from the truth. And so, yeah, that evolved into then interviewing, members of Parliament, and political figures, and some celebrities here and there, and like Nick Clegg and all that lot, and Anna Soubry, Tory party. God, I had an interview with a guy called Michael Heseltine, Lord Heseltine, who was a big guy back in the 90s under a Thatcher government, and we had a pretty innocuous conversation. Basically, we were in the middle of this interview, and he said that he'd prefer a Labour government to Brexit. And I thought, that's pretty innocuous. And then the next thing I know, like a couple of weeks later, it's all over the front of The Guardian for like a couple of days over Christmas a couple of years ago. And it blew the podcast wide open. We got got a really good listenership. But yeah, and it was crazy time. And that's and then, I don't know, just slowly but surely over about the next 6 months, just got more and more tired of having to do it, and the kickback wasn't as exciting. Like, so for example, with all the Saints channels that I'm involved with, or just to chat it on, that, you know, there's feedback and there's love and there's banter. Without, there was nothing. So I just sort of hang my hat up, so to speak. So, which is fine now because I can get on and do films.
Yeah. So it wasn't difficult for you to give up after kind of all that?
No, I don't think so. I think the problem is with me is I'm like you. I get very passionate about stuff, and if it doesn't kind of work out within the first year or so, I start like turning in on myself. If I'm really honest about it, you know, the insecurities start coming out. And I just thought, geez Louise, you know, I think it's better for my mental health that I just give this up. I mean, it's so bizarre. Like there's no given like right or for anybody to have their creativity just listened to by everyone in the world. You know, you've got to earn it and you've got to get it out there. But I just didn't really compute with that, you know. And the ridiculous thing was I was getting some amazing guests on my show, you know, real A-grade stuff. And I'm not bitter that I gave it up. I just sort of, I don't know, any normal person would have said, okay, hang on, this guy is in his van gardening. He's just parked his van up, and now he's going to interview Michael Heseltine, this major political figure. And then the interview's over, get back on the train, go and get in my van, and then go back gardening again. It's truly, it's like something out of a Nick Hornby book, you know. And I just thought that's quite an interesting USP, but no one else seemed to think it was. So I was a bit gutted, really.
Yeah, and people should know also you are indeed a gardener, right? That's your day by day kind of thing. And I know some of the listeners to the show are also gardeners, so hopefully that's and you live in separate areas, guys. So like, there's no competition. It's
there aren't any. I mean, it's a beautiful job, my friend. Not at the moment. Obviously, it's getting a little bit chilly around the old ankles.
Yes.
But it's, oh my goodness, it is freeing. You know, it's just me and my two dogs in the van, and it's wonderful. It's really chilled. It's nice.
Well, you're outside. You're working with your hands. You're you know, you smell the soil. You see the flowers. You do all that stuff, and it's got to be
every day. Every day I smell the soil and in my hands, and I rub it on my neck and on my chest, and I thank God I'm alive.
That's right. One day we will all be back in that, you know, and so it's nice to.
Yeah. Well, the way California's going at the moment, goodness me.
Well, I'm not sure if it's going to be the earthquakes, the rising sea levels, or the fires, but one of them is bound to get us, or it'll be the people from the states east of us as we try to go there. They'll end it for us. So I don't know.
Yeah, or Trump will just turn up in a massive helicopter and just drop a bomb on California for whatever reason.
Yeah, we're not his favorite, that's for sure. But that's okay. Yeah, it's a weird thing. But I mean, I guess let's talk a little bit about the film, and people will ask, like, when do we get to Saints? I don't know, because we're trying to avoid it, without a doubt. But so this is your first film, right? And it's called The Name, right?
That is correct. Yeah, first film. It's a short film. It's like 20 minutes long. It's got just a small two-cast ensemble. The main guy, Tim Bentinck, is probably very familiar to some of you guys who know the Archer's radio show on Radio 4. He plays David Archer. He's played him for like 36 years, I think. And yeah, it's pretty. It's an interesting adventure, you know, because I've done a little bit with this filmmaker Colin previously on a local comedy pilot shot in my old hometown of Guildford, and that was about 30 minutes long, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago. And truthfully, it was a very exhausting process, and again, it was a real trial trying to get that one like noticed and picked up by some networks, and it didn't happen. And I don't know. Then something else came along. I think I ended up meeting my now wife, and I just sort of put that on the back burner. So I just, whilst things settled down with the podcast, I was like, oh, I wonder what Colin's up to and what have you. But yeah, it didn't. It was a really easy process. The making of the film itself, writing it was pretty easy, and it was just the technical issues at the end of the film. But it's amazing to have it there for everyone to watch.
Yeah. So I mean, sitting down to write the film, or was it an idea or a story or something that you've had kind of floating around in the back of your head, or was it something that you talked to Colin and said, okay, I'm going to write this film. Let's do this film. And then you sat down and wrote it.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I don't know. I was saying this to my friend the other day, that it was a kind of a cry to get out of the city and be creative in some capacity. And I love living in London, but I come from the countryside. Okay. And I was desperate to write something for the countryside. And it just came to my head, I really want to write something for this guy, Tim. He's such a great actor. He's so open-minded. What could we do together? So I just, in my head, I just, what would I do? I don't know. Let's say he's a second-hand car salesman. He's a piece of crap, that kind of guy. Not a very nice person. Stick him in the middle of a field. Okay, well, let's go from there. And then it just built up from there. I'm always really at pains to know whether I'm spoiling a film by talking about it too much. But basically, he wakes up in this middle of the field, and he's got a random phone that's been planted on him, and he's got like a single match, and that's it. He's then just sent clues from the phone, and the film develops from there. And I just thought, run with it, because so much of writing is it's being like chased through a jungle by a pack of wild animals. It's like just keep running and stop when that stops. Yeah. It's like stop when the animals stop chasing you, because it's like if you stop and analyze it, it's going to ruin it, and it's going to take all the natural flow out of it. So I just kept writing, and this random little film came out, and it's pretty bizarre. It leaves a lot to the imagination. It leaves a lot of space to the viewer to make up his or her mind, of what's going on, as opposed to putting everything on the nose, because I think nowadays you see a lot of films that are either super Coen-y brothers, like No Country for Old Men, that leave you up to your own devices, or, you've got super on the nose Gerard Butler blowing up the House of Parliament. It's like, okay, blimey Charlie. So this is kind of a bit of everything, minus obviously the $16 billion budget.
Sure. Yeah. So like somebody asked me the other day, it was actually for a preview of the Everton match on an Everton YouTube channel. They asked me, so you're from California? And, they just went straight into movie stuff. And I go, look, I got to tell you, like, I don't watch film. Like I don't watch movies very often. My wife hates it. We went to a movie on our first date. I fell asleep 4 times. I'm not good at it. And so, it doesn't matter what you do to me to stay awake for an entire like hour and a half long film or something like that. It just doesn't happen.
Well, you're constantly exhausted, my friend, and you're a teacher. You see, that's the thing. It's like I did that with Death of Stalin. I went into the cinema. Armando Iannucci, one of the greatest writers of all time, and I went in to watch that, and I fell asleep. It doesn't matter sometimes how good the film is, And the other thing is, you wake up from this 10-minute nap and you go, yeah, I just got a 10-minute nap in. This is amazing. People are looking at you going, dude, you've been snoring for 10 freaking minutes. You ruined the film for me. I'm like, I don't care. I just got 10 minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my life. If I sit down, I will go to sleep, which is not a great thing. And I'm reading a book right now on sleep, and it says that's not good. Which is, everything I'm reading in there is as depressing as the Saints season. But it's okay. So, I mean, how long did the film take you guys to kind of put together once you started shooting, and how was the process of you kind of showing it to Colin, and what kind of feedback was he able to give you before you went out and was able to kind of put the camera angles together and the shots together? Because I think it was just you guys kind of doing it, right? It wasn't a big crew. It was just kind of you guys did the whole kind of run and gun thing.
Yeah, exactly. It was just me and Colin, and I wrote it. We went to, we had like a 5-week holiday in Sri Lanka last winter, and I know that sounds really posh, but who cares? You got to travel sometimes, kids. And I took my laptop with me, thinking, if I don't use this, oh my God, this is just a shocking waste of time and effort. And I made the effort. I sat down, started writing it, sent like, I don't know how many drafts to Tim, and he just kept on giving me little feedback here and there, and likewise with Colin. And I came back from Sri Lanka and I had a script ready to go. And in terms of filming it, it was just me and Colin, and it was over one day in the south of England. We had 3 locations, and I think I heard someone say that actually limited budget can be and restrictions can be really helpful, because you can only write then to a certain specification, and that's kind of helpful. And I literally wrote this film with the locations in a straight line from this little village called Chiddingfold, which then follows the A283 down to Petworth Park, down to Chichester, and then back up. It was super easy, and all the locations are absolutely stunning. The weather on the day was ridiculous. It was just maddening. Not maddening in an unbelievable way, like the British weather. The next day it was drizzly and rainy. That day was like California, Venice Beach, stunning, and it just made the film look. I'm running out of superlatives. I always do, but it made it look, I don't know, cool. Just really lovely. Yeah. So, and specifically the last scene, and it was just crazy. The sun setting behind us as the last scene was going down, and Colin and I were choking up with the actors doing such a damn good job. And it was something out of The Revenant, because they said they filmed that in natural daylight, except they did it obviously for like months and nearly killed people because it was so cold and hard. But yeah, it was a real, I don't know why in anything in life you just do it to feel like you're actually living your life. Yeah. To be creative, and I think you'll have that, you'll experience that, and with this podcast, and I know that John over at Saints FC podcast, and Ben and Freddie, they're all the same. It's, what are you going to do? Like, say something about your life, do something with it. And I always encourage people to be creative, because you never know what can come from that. And I hope with this film that it's a little stepping stone to something else. We're literally recording we're going, I don't know what you call it, in like post-production at the moment for our first full feature film, which starts in like 2.5 weeks, and that's a slightly bigger cast. That's like 5 cast members. It's not, again, it's super low budget, but you never know what can happen. It's this time it's 4 members of the Archers, which is crazy, the radio show, and it's I don't know, where life leads you sometimes when you start saying yes to things. Right, yeah, and opening yourself up to possibilities, and just kind of being willing to run with an idea, and also having the freedom to be able to do that, I guess, is also important. And a lot of times people feel like they can't, and I guess just thinking about kind of being a teacher, like sometimes that you just want the kids to just go like, just try it, like. It doesn't mean it's a complete lifestyle change, but just try it, give it a chance, and see. You may really wind up enjoying yourself and liking it, and find something you are passionate about. That's what life. That's what life is all about. It takes you in different journeys, like watching, even just as simple as just watching different, I don't know, Netflix TV series, or a different like way of something being filmed, or different set of dialogue. I like Glenn Ross is one of the most amazing movies. It's like a play, if you haven't seen it before. It was turned into a film. It's absolutely a stunning film. And you've got films like Dog Day Afternoon with like Pacino in at his absolute best, and some of the greatest writing you could ever imagine. I just stumble across these films by accident. It's not like, oh, I'm going to sit down and try and be inspired this afternoon. I'm just going to stick a film on and see if it's any good. And then you're just like, what film could be made like that? Can you imagine how people felt when they first saw Tarantino, like Reservoir Dogs? Jeez Louise, yes please. I
remember watching Pulp Fiction as a kid. My mom was watching it in the front room, and so I went out the back door and came around to the sliding glass door and watched it with no audio, just through the through the blinds. And then oh my God. But that's what I remember. I just remember drugs and blood.
That. I love that. Yeah, there's loads of it. I mean, I remember the scene in Reservoir Dogs where something happens to a policeman's ear, which isn't particularly nice, and I remember being traumatized by that. But the way it's filmed, I don't know. In another way, it's like, it's art, and I was very young, but it was still like traumatized, but also turned on in a way I never realized. It's like From Dusk Till Dawn again. That's another film that takes such an insane twist that you can't quite believe it, but you go with it, and that's the mark of an amazing film, isn't it? Something that's a bit different, and you go with it. And I hope the name, my film, is a bit like that. You know, I mean, you definitely have to go with this film. You know, it's on the nose in certain places, so you're not going to get lost, but it is a bit wacky. To say the
absolutely,
least.
yeah. Well, I think people will enjoy it. It's beautifully shot. It's well done. So just, you know, congratulations on getting that project, you know, I guess to completion and putting it up for people to see, because that is, I mean, it's somewhat nerve wracking. I worry about it every single week, or, you know, whenever I put out the podcast or the newsletter, there's always a slight hesitation to push, you know, publish or go. And last week I made a mistake on the newsletter. I left somebody else's, you know, they wrote this in the bottom and they didn't write that because it was pretty garbage and I wrote it, but they can take the hate mail instead. It's okay.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. It's because I know exactly what you're talking about. I used to do that with the Limehouse podcast every week. You know, you'd have a huge interview and you're just about to load it up for the entire world to hear, and all kinds of insecurities, and then like worries and I don't know, what do you call them? Like goalkeepers have them. I can never remember what it's called. It's that word, superstition.
Yeah.
I always get hung up on that word. You know, what all religion is based on, and I'm just like, just put it up, just do it, just put it up, sit back and chill out. And yeah, lo and behold, that is a really good mantra to just take into life. You know, it's like there's a really good film podcast over here by Mark Kermode and Simon Mayo, and they use this sort of you just do it attitude with everything. It's like, how do you play guitar? Well, you just play guitar. You know, how do you make a film? You just make a film. In life, that is quite a cool thing to use. It's like, how do you win a game of football, Saints? You just win a game of football. How do you tell a defender to defend? You just tell him to defend. You know, it's like, obviously slightly more complex.
Yeah, a little bit, but you have to go do it, right? And I guess to Ralph Hasenhüttl, you know, how do you pick a team without putting fullbacks in their proper positions? And the truth is, you just put a team out and tell the other guys to play fullback instead, and then we'll watch them make mistakes that'll cost us games. It'll be great.
Exactly. I'm aware I haven't plugged where you can actually see this film, which is true to the nature of my lack of professionality, but you know, professionalism rather. I just made a new word. That's quite
go with it.
But yes, yeah, you can see the film on our website, which is somedaysarediamonds.co.uk, and you can see it on Facebook if that persuasion, and that is The Name Film. You can just a page, you can find all this stuff out on there. But yes, some days are diamonds. I thought you might like, because that's a Tom Petty.
Yeah,
reference.
absolutely.
I'm a huge Tom Petty fan. So.
And yeah, I think I watched it on YouTube.
Oh right, brilliant. There you go. You see, you know, the website is so basic, but I just didn't know. You know, so everybody needs a bosom for a pillow. Everybody needs a website. That's
right.
And I just thought, I'm just got to crack on and do it. It looks a little bit GCSE, A-level sort of website from the 1990s. However, it serves a purpose.
That's right. It's there for people to find, and links to all of those things are in the show notes, from your Twitter to the Facebook page to the website and the YouTube channel. Everything's down there for people to see, and so they can go do that. And now we have to actually talk about this team. We've done well, though. We have you've taken me on a journey. It's about the length of the film that we've managed to not talk about Saints. That's pretty good for now.
Yeah, right.
So if your daughter wants to wake up now and we'll end it right here, that would be great.
I've got a dog in the room. She might start barking or something.
Okay.
You know?
All right. So I mean, we mentioned, you know, another curious selection from Ralph, obviously, with Bertrand out. Bertrand's out, suspended from the straight red a couple of games ago. Højbjerg is out with a concussion, which we didn't know until about game time or when the lineups came out. But lineup with a back five: Alex McCarthy in goal, Cedric, Jack Stevens, Yannick Vestergaard, Jan Bednarak, and then Stuart Armstrong playing at right back with Cedric playing at left back. Two in the middle with Ori Romeu and Ward Prowse, and then a front three of Djenepo, Redmond, and Ings. I mean, looking at it, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, who was going to be where. Really not. I mean, we've tried how many different players now at right back between Ward Prowse and I think Bednarak at one point, and now Armstrong. I think Danzo's played over there. Danzo's played at left back, and it just seems a bit a mess. But when you were looking at the lineup on Twitter or getting ready to listen on the radio, what was your thoughts kind of going in today, given that we need points in the Premier League. We haven't been home since the Leicester City match, and we put in a great performance last weekend, but didn't get anything. And then we come out and kind of do what we did today, or Saturday. But what were your thoughts just based on the lineup and just before game time?
Well, I guess before game time, like a lot of people, I think that we had the attitude of we switched off a bit in terms of giving a crap. I looked at the lineup and laughed. Not necessarily in an evil way, not like a James Bond villain kind of way, but it was just like Armstrong's playing where now? Okay. How many do we want to lose by today? I see, just fine. But then again, you go through the rest of the team, you're like, yeah, that's pretty standard. I don't know why Højbjerg's not featuring at all. And then, like you said, just find out just before the game drops, he's concussed. It's like, geez, what did that happen in like literally the match warm up or okay? So yeah, you just go with it. You just hope that Ralph's going to put it out the bag again, and you just think, well, he knows what he's doing. He'll be fine. At least he's got McCarthy in goal. He's learning slowly there. But I didn't know what to think, to be honest, mate. I mean, I did say 2-1 Saints as a prediction on my Twitter account previously, and I thought that was being realistic. I think that's kind of like a realistic scoreline. That's not out of crazy land. But then, like you were mentioning, Man City away, we got defeated 3-1 in the cup, and then that 2-1, it almost felt like a victory, but it's not. It's a point, and it wasn't. Sorry, it wasn't even a point. It was a point, almost a point, and the exactly. It's not 3 points though, is it? And we still lost, so it doesn't do anything. And if you fundamentally lose and you go, well, we're going to take all the positives into the next game. I mean, how many times can you keep saying we're going to take positives into the next game? How many more bloody times?
Well, I don't know, because I don't think there's much you can take from this one, And
no.
And I mean, this from podcasting and filmmaking and everything else. Like, sometimes you don't get a next time. There isn't, some people will give you a second chance, but every time you have a below par performance, you lose people, and eventually the people that really have your back kind of go like I can only have your back for so long, and
especially in football. My God.
It gets harder and harder each week to kind of come out and go like, I'm really searching for positives here. I'm really, clutching at straws to try to find some sliver of, this is what we're going to do well next time. Because at this point, I think, it's like not unlike some other teams, like there are other teams that do this as well, but like there is no consistency from week to week. There's no progression. There's no kind of, we're making this step or we're going to hang out here for a while and then we're going to make another step. It's up and down every single week. And it's disappointing to come off of a performance like last week and then come into and do something like we did on Saturday. Like, it's just so, it's deflating. It's hard to kind of get excited about the team, and because I don't want to sit here and doubt I don't want to sit here and doubt the manager or the players or anything else, but I was not a happy camper that first half today. If you read through my Twitter feed, it was not a nice thing to witness. And my daughter was like, Dad, you're not supposed to use those words. And I'm like, well, fine, I won't send it then. I also didn't realize she was sitting behind me reading my screen, which is not great.
Daddy, why are you writing those words?
Dad,
get away from me.
Dad, do you do that? Do you use those words a lot? I was like, whoa.
What? No, this is predictive text. This has nothing to do with me. Your daddy's a lovely guy. Yeah. Super clean. That's where we are now, isn't it? They were putting free scarves out on the seats, but they were getting thrown on the pitch by the end of the match. It's like that's the state of the club right now. We were light shows before the match and fireworks to distract everyone from what's really going on, or at least attempt to. I feel most sorry for you, because I have a similar situation with you, but with the Bundesliga. I love German football, and I'm still haven't quite picked a team. It's been like 2 seasons now, and I get the feeling that whichever team I pick will then suddenly turn into complete crap. And I feel sorry for you, man, because I know when you started watching Saints, we were doing damn well, right? And that couldn't have been any more exciting. You know, I can't remember which era you picked us up on, but like, whether it was it Koeman?
Just before. So I was watching just before.
Oh, you lucky. Oh, God.
Yeah, it was great.
That's like biting into like several profiteroles and picking up like the most insane craft beer and just going, yes, I have won the lottery.
And then not ever being able to do that again or find that again, you know?
Yeah, no, and that's it. We've been chasing that dream, and the sad thing is that dream that wasn't a dream. That was a reality. We were doing incredibly well, and now we're chasing it, and we have no idea because we've got completely the wrong personnel to do that, both on and off the pitch. And I mean, I say this in a sort of a macro sense rather than attacking the micro, because no one knows what the micro is, because no one knows what Gal's all about. Which is, again, football in its essence, isn't it? Really, what's going on? Is it the dressing room? Is it the manager? Is it the board? Is it the fans? You know, is it the status of the blade of grass on the pitch? You know, we don't really know, and it's ultimately devastating. And there's no way that I can see this turning around this season, because we have Ralph Hasenhüttl, one of the most exciting progressive managers we could have ever have hoped to have got, and we all know that. And there's none of us really that would be going against that thought, because we all love him. We all were so super excited about getting him in, and you know, just think about that away game against Huddersfield and Obafemi and what have you, or the matches that we've turned around in the past under Hasenhüttl, and the team in general. It's just bizarre how it's all fallen apart. Like, what on earth is going on? Like, I'm not as involved with the club as, you know, as say like, you know, Adam Leach, what have you, for the Daily Echo, but I mean, Ralph sounded dejected as hell yesterday on the Radio Solent post-match interview. It was not pleasant, man.
Yeah, no, more than one person said this is as you know, sad or dejected or you know, down as they've heard him. And the sad thing is that's happened now a couple of weeks running. You know, after the Leicester City defeat, he was like that. A couple of matches before that, he was not. You know, I'd want to see him. I almost want to see him angry. Like, I want him to be so fiery that they go, actually, you know, we can't. This is daytime television, basically. You know, we can't run with that right now.
Well, Matthew, honestly, I think it's really funny how it's gone from the joy and genuine like reasons for optimism straight to the bottom. In literally no time. There's been no time for anger. It's gone from really, really good to complete shock and, oh my God, this isn't working within one match. Okay, obviously that those of us that are watching closer than that know that the 9-0 wasn't that was more like the catalyst, the sort of the moment of okay, something's really wrong at Saints. Yeah. But any of us know that losing 3-0 opening game of the season against Burnley, away or at home, is not a good thing. You know, that's something. Oh, we didn't have the right system. Yeah, we didn't have the right system. Blah blah blah, etc. etc. Well, why not? I mean, you've had the whole of the preseason. You've had the whole of the season you came in before as well. What's going on, man? You know?
Yeah. No, we all have so many questions, and it's, you know, we can read through Twitter and people are giving out answers. You know, everybody knows what's wrong with the team, and I think some things are quite clear. Like, if you play guys out of position, they will make mistakes they wouldn't normally make if you played them in position, because they're not used to playing that position. Yes, they are footballers. They can still dribble and pass and do those things. And we struggle with that. I mean, if you look at our pass map and you look at, you know, our average positioning today and where our shots came from and how many shots we had, like, it wasn't very good. But
no, it's appalling. Well, Danny Ings' first shot was in the 50th minute or something, and when we scored, or something before that, and it was just an ironic cheer went up round the ground, and you know that is that's a damning indictment, man. Like, we are playing at home, meant to be a progressive football playing team under a really. You know, like progressive football manager. And it's got an incredible reputation. And it's, well, who do you blame? Who the hell do you blame here? And yeah, like you said, playing players out of position is mind-numbing. That's for me is the death rattle, because it's all very well and good saying, you know, players are out, we're really limited in certain positions. It's like, I'm pretty sure you've got a youth team, not a youth team, but academy player that's got a more than enough ability to fit in on the right or the left flank, or in a central defence, or midfield, or attack.
Yeah.
Just give them a go. I mean, not just give them a go. I know that is really easy. It's just like sort of saying we're going to solve these problems, you know, just, you know, glossing over them like that. It's a bit naive of me to say it, but it's better than putting freaking Armstrong down there. It's better than putting Danso continually on the left or the right or what have you. And he's clearly a talented football player.
Yeah.
But he's meant to be playing the centre. Can't you just put him in the centre of defence? Could you just put him there? You know, centre back. Could you just do that? No. But then you look at Gineppo, like, who seems to be a game changing player. We score. You know, Boufal sets up the goal. Beautiful skill. But then we score, and then we just seem to just drop off the pace. We just seem to go, well, I mean, we are playing at home, and we do like to lose, so let's revert to that. And
yeah,
you give even a rubbish team like Everton the chances, and they put them away, as it turns out.
Yeah. I mean, so let's talk a little bit about the goals. You know, because we go down almost instantly from a corner, and I've watched it back over and over and over, and I can't decide who to be the most upset with. But it just seems like nobody marks Tom Davies at all. That he is just allowed to run freely to the back post, and Bednarak and McCarthy are left to try to cover. But Bednarak was on somebody else, and I don't know if it was Armstrong, but I also have a bone to pick with Vestergaard at the front post, who, if you get to watch the replay, kind of whips his head at the cross after it's already been headed away from him, after it's already been flicked on. And
well, he's under the ocean, man, because he's the Titanic, so he's still like, you know, he's wrestling scars from an iceberg, and he's submerged for many years now, so that's probably why.
It was just one of those things where this is the worst thing that could happen to us is this right now, and then you just, but in my head I just go, okay, now we need to respond, right? If we respond and we come and then we'll be okay. And there's not. And by the time we got to halftime, I was pretty upset. Like, and I had to leave. I had to go do stuff. And so that's not the 45 minutes of Saints football I wanted to watch before I left to go to take on the rest of my day. Like, that did not put me in a great mood.
Well, of course not. But I mean, dude, like, that's what you said there. Like, where was the response? That was my feeling with Ralph's full-time interview. I was very much like, well, okay, teams do go down early, you know, that does happen an awful lot in football, and they don't lie down and take it because they have the personnel and mentality to come back and fight and actually use that as even more motivation. You know, we will not lose. This is an absolutely paramount performance, and they just don't have the belief, the passion, the fire for it. You know, where there were players before that were up for that, the fight. You know, the likes of Romeo and Højbjerg. Those guys. Well, Højbjerg wasn't even featured today on you know, the starting lineup or subs bench. So you're thinking, well, who's going to get us out of this? You know, who? I mean, Redmond's a great little player, but he's no leader. Geez Louise, what about this starting spine of the team? McCarthy's been rejected and only finally just brought back into the team. Clearly, he's not in a position to lead us. So then you go Yoshi, but, you know, yikes, I don't know. Clearly, that's not working, like, in terms of either his performances and him just being on the pitch. And then, you're running. I mean, who else? James Ward-Prowse, no way. Like, Jimmy, I've always said, like, he's and I'll get lambasted for this, but he's a good championship player. He could do really well in the championship. And I don't mean that in a horrible way. Like, I think we would be better in the championship. I think all of us would enjoy football way more if we were back in a league where we sort of win, say, 60% of our matches and we enjoy a day out, as opposed to being ripped off and having our face rubbed in the dirt, you know. And I'll be happy to see us get relegated, frankly, and I don't see anything that's going to change that. A manager fanning around with various positions, putting square pegs in round holes, etc. That is for me relegation. And we've got some amazing players though. That's what I don't understand. Djenepo, Boufal, Ings, Redmond, amazing attacking players. If you go to see them in training, it's mind blowing the skills that they can perform.
Maybe we should just have the YouTube channel. We should just do trick shots and in like training competitions. I mean, those are money makers. I mean, that sounds like something God would be interested in at this point if we're going to generate revenue.
I think we've got to think of some way of doing something other than like changing formation 16 different times. I mean, that's another thing that I find really, really hard to follow because people were talking about this sort of 4-2-4-2 or something formation that Saints were going to play under Hasenhüttl, and I don't even know how that's being implemented, like a midfield pivot and everything. Well, you need, you can say these things, but it's putting them into action, and that's driving me a little bit mad at the moment. This press that was the other thing. We weren't even pressing yesterday, for Christ's sake. That's like the minimum that you'd expect from a team struggling, and we weren't even doing that. So,
no.
5-3, whatever, 4-7-9, whatever bloody formation you want, just get the ball pressed and just have a shot at goal.
I think those numbers you rattled off were actually the number of shots Everton had in the match yesterday, unfortunately. The goal we give up early on, like we said, there's no response. At halftime, we do make a change. Boufal comes on. Boufal looks to be great. I didn't think Djenepo had a great match or a great first half. I thought he was pretty bad. He's just so skinny, he's so young, he's so lanky, and like.
Well, that's it, man. Like, he's young, and you can't expect him to deliver every match, right?
Right, and so you have to give him time. Like, so I have it down in my notes that he had a poor first half, but at the same time, he's young, and you want him to go out and try things. The worst thing a young attacking player could do is just hang out, on the byline and just wait, and just go like, actually, I'll just chill over here because I'm afraid to make a mistake. Like, that's not what you want. So, let him go try things, but Boufal comes on, creates the chance, runs the ball down after it comes out for the header, but manages to put the cross in, and Ings taps it home, which is great, and we're back in it. And then Everton, we talked about response earlier. Everton respond, and they come back and they get on top of us again, and they kind of don't stop until they get a goal, and then and on that
Funny
goal.
That. Yeah.
What's that? Go ahead.
So no, it's funny because that's how football should be. You go a goal down, you're meant to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit mind. I don't. But I mean, you more than anybody, I think, would experience the highs and lows of this club, and I think that you get the chance to dilute that over several decades, like I have, and now it's becoming a real hangover now. It's the promise of the best paracetamol you're ever going to have to cure your hangover. It comes in, it's failed. Oh, it's rubbish. It's not even. It's baking powder. It's not even paracetamol. I want real painkillers, man. I want like, who do I want in? I want anyone. I want Allardyce in to sort this out. I want oh God, what's his name? Mourinho. I can't believe I forgot his name. Mourinho in. Anybody? Obviously, that's never going to happen in a million years. But we keep having these promises, this guy's going to sort it out, this player's going to come in, and then we lean on people like Djenepo more than I can't even believe it. Hassan Tariq was on the Ugly Inside the other day saying, like, we'll get Djenepo back and blah, 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 that'll give us something. It's like, but he's a baby, well, not a baby, but, he's totally unproven. He's had a couple of really awesome goals and a couple of really awesome games, but that's not going to help us. One player, unless it's Matt Letizia, he scores every single game, and he literally held us up for 14 years or whatever it was, and that's not much of an exaggeration. Behind Matt was a solid team, a solid lineup, and we haven't got that. So you can have as many Djenepos as you like, but it's not going to save you unless your team's solid.
Yeah. Well, I think coming into today or into Saturday, this is the problem with me staying up and talking. I can't remember what day it is. So coming into Saturday, I think Djenepo had 4 shots, scored 2 goals. So now he's up to 5 shots, scored 2 goals. So it's not like he's he was pretty good about it. He almost put a shot out for a throw today, which is great.
Some days are diamonds, some days are rock.
That's and like we said, like I said, it's fine. Like he is going to make mistakes, and I want him on the pitch because he is exciting. He is a little bit of a spark, and we need that because we didn't do anything because we have players just go missing. Like I forgot Nathan Redmond was on the pitch today. Like he was just kind of absent.
I don't even know whose fault that is, man, because it's really hard, isn't it? Because you can say Nathan Redmond had a bad game and Gineppa had a bad game, but you don't know what the week of training was like before to lead up to this. You know, you're seeing like the tip of the iceberg with every single match. You don't know what's happened, what the manager's been saying. You don't know the chemistry, the setup of it all. So it's really hard, isn't it? Because you look at Nathan Redmond, you go, he's normally our real try-hard player, next to like Shane Long, but scores goals. And it's hard to sort of fathom who you blame with that. And it's sad because then you start blaming individuals, and they're all individuals, they're all decent human beings. You know, it's hard to sort of berate someone for no real reason. Yeah.
I mean, we see, like you said, so little of these guys actually. You know, this is 90 minutes of their week, maybe 2 hours of their week where they are fully professionals. They are doing this. They don't do this 8 hours a day because you can't do that to your body, but like, they are doing this day in, day out. They are, you know, they come in, they work on the training ground, they do extra practice, they go to the gym, they run, they do all of this other stuff that we don't see. And it's hard to know what the tactical kind of setup is or what they were being asked to do that was slightly different than last week that maybe they're not fully comfortable with. And so they wind up making mistakes. But I guess just at this point in the season, because we've gone through it so many times, because it's been now, is this the fourth manager that we've kind of had like where things haven't gone well, that it gets to the point where you just go like, well, what are we doing? Like, how is this going to get better? Because I don't think that simply removing Ralph does it. I think the players stay the same.
Yeah, right? Well, we had that with Hughes. Yeah, well, I mean, when what's his name? Not Pellegrino, when he was replaced by Hughes, I think we were all very excited. Not necessarily excited, but we thought, okay, fine. It's not Allardyce. It's like a side pass from Allardyce. It's kind of not the biggest insult. So, and he came in and cracked a few heads. I hate that expression, but it's true. You know, he did. He faced down Boufal in the dressing room, a lot of us were like, I don't particularly like bullying at all on any level, but for some reason in sport that seems to motivate and sort players out, and it seemed to run throughout the whole team, that element of, right, Hughes is a no-nonsense manager, and it worked, didn't it, for a little while. And then I remember sitting on the Saints FC podcast with Tom and going, let's get him in, let's give him the job, he's earned it. It's complete nonsense. He didn't earn the job. We knew what he was about. He came in and did a job, kept us up. Now let's get a better manager. And now we've got that better manager. Oh, wow, how's that going? What do you do? You can't keep uploading new software into a knackered computer and hoping that it's going to make it better. I'm looking at my Dell 1998 laptop here as I say that. No, I don't know. So you're absolutely right. And I just feel so desperately sorry for those players that are really genuinely trying so damn hard, because you can imagine, right, going, all money aside that they get paid, they turning up to training and going, I want to be a better football player, I want to progress my career. I've come to Southampton with that in mind, because that over the past 4 or 5 years has been the model at Saints, and then something happens on match day where that all falls apart, or something very weird is happening, and they don't have the courage, or there's not the facility to talk up at training and go, look, man, this isn't working because of X, Y, and Z, and we just feel as a group that could we try it this way or something. And I don't know what Ralph's like as a guy. I mean, we all love him to pieces,
right?
But how long do you say we love him to pieces before we have to say, what's going on, Ralph? You know, but just like you said, man, I don't think getting rid of him is going to solve a damn thing.
Yeah. It leaves us in kind of a weird spot. And I'm just glancing at the table here, and it's not great. You know, we're on 8 points to this point after 12 matches. We are now a full kind of win out of getting out of the relegation zone, because I think
because there's 3 points, isn't there, between us and Villa. So if Villa do the business tomorrow, then it goes to 5 points clear. So we're 5 points adrift.
Yeah, and that's not great. I mean, saying it's not great doesn't do it at all justice. And then to make matters worse, the team I kind of, not that I want a team other than us to win the Premier League, but the team I definitely think has the best chance of winning, besides Liverpool, is now in 4th place. And they could go into this international break in 4th place. City need to win tomorrow, or today for you, or people will have already heard this. This is getting cut out, but that's okay. Maybe not. Maybe we'll leave it. But let's answer some questions because why not?
The sun's coming up here, by the way, so it starts to just get light outside. So
is it nice?
Does that freak you out? No, it's grey. It's grey, mate. This is London. This is England. You know, it's like just grey all the time. I'm joking.
For me, it's this is not the weirdest time. The weirdest time I've ever recorded was way back the first time Glenn De La Cour was on the show. I said, you know what, give me some times at work for you. And he's like, 9 a.m. my time. And I kind of went like, no, 9 minus 8 is 1. And I was like, I don't know. But he's the guest. I didn't want to say no. And when I got on the phone, the first thing he says is like, Matt, why don't you say something? Like, you got to say something. You can't do that. Like, you can't go like, 1 a.m. is totally fine. Like, you don't do that to yourself. So I haven't done that to myself since. But
I was like that with my podcast as well. You know, you do just like, I'm interviewing Ken Clark or Michael Heseltine. I'm going to have to do it on their time. It doesn't matter what time that is.
God, okay, so we have one from the ugly inside here. Let's just go with this because we need some lightheartedness here. He says, so what's the pirate's favorite letter of the alphabet?
That would probably be F, because it's my favourite swear word, and it's the only swear word you can use to describe saints and our position at the moment if you put an ED at the end of it.
Yes, I'm there with you. I like that. I like that word quite a lot, actually. Let's see. From Kevin, Moscow Mush, St. Kevin. He's one of the guys that does the In That Number podcast. For those of you who aren't familiar with, he says, can you give a pirate name to any of the current Saints first team players?
Oh my God, a pirate name to any of the first team. That's a good one. Well, geez, I'd have to really think about that one. Long term. Maybe like the Pale Rider for James Ward-Prowse, because he pale as in weak and doesn't really ever do anything, and the aimless fellow that he is. We don't really know what he's about. Scores an occasional absolute wonder free kick, but that's it. But Pale Rider sounds more like something out of a motorcycle gang. So I'm lost. I'm going to pick that up on Twitter and think on that one, I think.
All right, yeah, we'll do it on the episode post, and we'll get some conversation going.
Okay.
I was going to ask you. I mean, you think about some of the guys we have on loan. Would you call any of those guys back? That's another question from the guys at the In That Number podcast. And there's a really good question we got on Instagram that I don't know if we have. It's hard to think about, like, because we can say, because they were kind of asking about who's to blame or who needs to change, or from the top down, do we just everybody like light it on fire and start over? And the truth is, I just don't have a good answer for that.
Well, no, I don't think anyone does, because the whole fallacy around, we'll just get someone else, we'll just get a loanee or an academy player in that's been loaned out, call him back, blah blah blah, get Sims back, Hesketh. No, we've tried them, doesn't work, move on, guys. They're good players, but you can't put them in the middle of a poop storm like a relegation battle and expect them to just flourish. It doesn't happen. They haven't got, like you can with Rashford, you can with those kind of players, because they've got a quality base around them. They've got amazing. Okay, obviously using as United as an amazing example is incorrect, because they're not. But you can put Foden in, can't you, for Man City, and go he does well because he's got unbelievable support around him.
Right.
Putting the weight of the world on these guys is incorrect, and it's not the way that you blood players at all. Obviously, if they are amazing, like Adam Lallana or whoever, But Lallana and all that, they grew up playing like League One, right? You know, they had the opportunity to be, you know, to play against opposition that were not so hot, to be kind about it. So really, at the end of the day, we either go for in my opinion, we just go for a Giroud kind of figure. I was always in favour of getting him in last season. I think maybe I don't think it'd even be a lot of money. I think his wages would be the issue, and whether or not he'd be willing to take that step down. I think we've got the right personnel at the club and the right manager to actually excite a player like that. Just go, look, you know, we're this start of the season, we're starting over. This is our plan. We could use you. You know, you'd be like the focal point, etc. So really pump up his ego. I don't know how it goes down, but I mean, I would say that would have been the way to go. Instead, you know, we buy these sort of 15 million average kind of players that are totally untested in the Premier League.
Sure.
And look where we are. And then we go, no, call the academy players in, call the reserve players in. They're brilliant. They're not getting their shout. They'll rescue us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's clear that we need something to change, but there's everywhere you look, there are kind of red flags around all of the things, which is not a great feeling for as a fan, because it does kind of feel like we're going down, and it's not even Thanksgiving here. Like we shouldn't be singing Christmas songs yet. I know you guys don't celebrate, but you know, it's not. Yeah. I told the kids, like, no Christmas carols until after Thanksgiving, and like probably no relegation talk until after Thanksgiving. But right now, man, it's like it's where we're at. This is where we're at, and this is not. Yeah,
there's no getting away from that. This was it's not a must win. We're not at that stage of the season, but it's pretty much as close as to that as you can get without actually saying it, because when are you going to say it? You know, because the run-in we have right now is favourable to us. Yeah, we know it's been tough, but if it was favourable to us and we're at home against a team that I've seen a couple of times, I've seen these guys, Everton, a couple of times on the telly this season, and they are appalling. They are rubbish. Yeah. They are completely inept. They're like absolutely no belief in their system, and there's no hiding that. They're dull. They're dull as dishwater, and we made them look like, not world beaters, but we just made them look like a pretty decent 6th place team in the Premier League, which they are not.
Right.
And
how if they were, it would have been the scoreline would have been a lot more lopsided, because they had 24 shots.
Well, let me tell you, I saw Leicester as well last night against Arsenal, and Leicester were amazing, and so that was not a fluke. The only reason that game wasn't 6 or 7 was just millimeters and inches and mild deflections.
Yeah.
We could have lost against Leicester 3 or 4-0, but it was 9. So Arsenal could have easily lost, but like by that cricket score. But I've got to probably make a move in a minute, Matthew. Because
you should, and I can only hope that like a lot of the films that I grew up watching, that Saints season has some sort of redeeming value, that it gets, it reaches that. And I hope that your day goes well, and as the sun comes up and your family rises, I hope that all is well and we get to do this again sometime.
Yeah, me too. It'd be absolutely fantastic. You can probably hear my daughter in the background, actually. She wants in on this.
All right. Well, she's on the show. She's the youngest ever.
She's a real like a real stonker as well. She comes in and starts throwing stuff around. She's not like me, actually. But there's no reason to. For me, like, I've had to learn how to control my rage.
Yeah.
Because of hey, do you want to say something, pal? because of Saints.
Yeah.
But, like, I think I can't think it was under Pellegrino. I think it was under Hughes when we were just surrendering leads. That was our thing, wasn't it? We'd go 1-0 up and then just end up losing. Yeah. Just conceding really quickly, or just conceding right at the end of matches, what have you. Now I just laugh at it. When I was on a WhatsApp group with a bunch of Saints fans, and that's right, pal. And when we were going 9-0 down, it was after 3-0. It was actually just kind of pleasant, just chilling out and watching Leicester score some really great goals.
Right.
Which is obscene. Who wants to be in that position?
No, it's not where I thought. It's not where I saw myself.
No.
There's that meme going around. That sitting around the table. Just who thought we would be here? It's like, not us.
Yeah. Especially not you, my friend. Oh my God. You picked us up in the glory days. You lucky guy. God.
Well,
okay.
All right. William, thank you so much.
Thank you, Matthew. It's been a really great honour to be on your fantastic show and talk through all the malaise of Saints and my film.
No, it's pleasure's all mine, and we have to do it again soon. Sooner, this is taking way too long. So thank you.
Nice one. Okay, mate.
And that does it for this episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed it. Special thanks this week goes out to William Porteous. You can find him on Twitter at pirate_ST. You can get his film, The Name, at somedaysarediamonds.co.uk or at facebook.com/thenamefilm. His email address is also in the show notes in case you want to get a hold of him to talk Saints or film, or maybe you just need your garden tended to. He can also do that for you if that's what you're looking for. And although this episode may not have followed the typical format of the show, if you're interested in consistency, don't watch Saints. Although they have been doing essentially the same thing for the last 3 years. So hopefully we turn that around. We're trying to break the cycle. That's what we're really trying to do here. Get us out of the rut. But anyway, as always, we'll be back next week with another episode of the show. But this show wouldn't be possible without a number of people helping out, from William and joining the show and all of the guests to all of you who send in questions that help the show move forward, and our partner, the Southampton page. You can find them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's where you should go for all of your Southampton FC news and needs, because the podcast only comes out once a week. The newsletter that comes out on Fridays only comes out once a week, and lots of stuff happens in between. For that, there is the Southampton page. They also provide you with in-game coverage that helps to keep you up to date with what's happening around the club. The logo for the show is done by Matt Beeling of the We Are Southampton page on Instagram, and all music for the show comes courtesy of the Free Music Archive at freemusicarchive.org. The intro song is Epic Song by Boxcat Games, and the end of show credits that you're listening to right now is Aim is True by Poddington Bear. Special shout out to all of the patrons of the show who help make sure this happens each and every week. Your small financial contribution helps ensure that all the hosting's taken care of and that we can continue to do the show even when times are tough. So we're off to the international break now. We will be back next week with another episode, so be sure you're subscribed on iTunes, Stitcher, Acast, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts to be sure that you don't miss it. For all of those links and more, visit southamptondelivery.com. That's it. Until next time, remember that together, we march on.